Hello folks, and welcome to the inaugural video from Teach Gets Taught, playing Football Manager 2024. Now, I have dived back in after a number of weeks off the game to pick up a save where I've been playing as a team in the Japanese league, and they are YSCC Yokohama. Now, when I inherited this team in 2023, so I've been at the club for about 4 years, they were really, really down in the doldrums of the J3 league, which is the bottom professional league in Japan. So um, if I find the history of the club, then I can. What am I doing? Right, so here we go. So we finished 12th in the J3 League the year that I finished. Now you have to remember that the league in Japan finishes in December. So when it says 2023, it means the end of that calendar year. So we finished 12th. Now, when I picked up the team, they were in an absolutely horrendous situation whereby they were in the relegation. They were in the relegation zone. And if I go back to here we go. Stages. That's what I want. So we finished 12th in our first year, and we won a ton of games. And essentially, the tactics really haven't changed all that much. So I really like vertical tiki-taka, generally on positive, sometimes on attacking if I feel like the golfing class is just way too much. And essentially, I've picked up this kind of constant positive mentality from watching a lot of Lelujo videos. And that was enough basically to bully a lot of teams and to pick up some wins, which got us into a secure lower mid-table position. The following year was really starting to put a stamp on the squad, and as you can see, playing that 4-2-3-1 vertical tiki-taka system means that you are going to lose games. And but the pleasing thing this year, whilst we got dumped out in the first opportunity of the playoffs, literally lost the first game to a team. It was Kitakyushu. So we absolutely decimated them in the league. And then we had to play them in the playoffs, and then we unceremoniously got dumped up. So they ended up getting promoted from the looks, which is very nice. But there was definitely signs of progress. The following year, we just won at a canter, 25 points clear, almost 100 goals scored for. Also, FC Gifu got the same number of goals for, but our goals against was just absolutely magical. It really was a thing of beauty. So it was a very, very comfortable season. I'd say about halfway through the season, we were looking really, really comfortable. So it would have taken an almighty collapse to essentially throw away that. And we kept that momentum going. So we didn't win the league, and Tosu were a team that just kind of kept us at arm's length from memory for the entire season. But we did just about squeak an automatic promotion place. And then onto this season. Now, we started quite well, insofar as, and the first half of the stage doesn't really kind of give away that sense. But we did start really, really well. So after the first few games, I thought, oh gosh, there really isn't that much of a step up from J2 to J1. And I thought, well, if we can hold a top six position, then that would be really good. However, you can see, barring the odd bounce, we are just falling away. Um, I've tried to use a different, more kind of sensible tactic where I've got a defensive midfielder as opposed to having a number 10 in the hole, but that really kind of didn't help. So what I've done is I've kind of gone back. Now, the reason for this is because if you look at our squad, we have an awful lot of young players. This is generally what I tend to do when I'm building a team, because this sort of save is very typical of what I like to do. Um, Typically, I will start in the lowest division in England, so National North or South, and I'll look to build them up and try and get through the National League, which is always a nightmare. But what you can see here, so it's the same sort of approach. I buy a lot of young players, so we have got an inordinate number of 19-year-olds in this team. It really is ridiculous, but there is a healthy mix. So we've got a few players in their 30s, and some players in their late 20s and mid 20s as well. But we have an awful lot of teenagers. And we've also managed to pick up some absolute gems. So we've got Shah and McLaughlin, who are 4.5 stars of ability with potentially 5 stars potential. Shah is a Malaysian centre back, but he can play as a midfielder also. Fantastic physicals and mentals for this division. So he is a good J1 League player. Equally, by the same token, we've got Paul McLaughlin from Australia, who again was picked up on a free. So both of these guys, I think, came in on frees. And he is just an absolute monster because he's 6'4". He has decent physicals, fantastic jumping reach, which I really need to deploy a lot more. Some fairly good mentals. Technical's not the best, but it really doesn't matter too much at this sort of level. And he is a leading J1 league player, with apparently the potential to improve a lot. So he is just an absolute rock star now, and who is drawing interest from one other team in J1. Thereafter, it kind of drops off in terms of ability. 1 4-star player who is an attacking midfielder, and we've got a few people who can kind of play in that role. So we've got Onohara. Again, he can play in a number of positions, but principally his natural position is as an advanced playmaker or a deep line playmaker, which is absolutely fine. Gives me a bit of flexibility in terms of tactics. And then you're kind of getting into the 3.5 stars, 3 stars, which I know is all relative for the standard of the squad. But what you can see is that there's potentially a lot of upside. So I think we've got a group of players who are just going to continue to get better. So it's essentially, I think that if we can avoid relegation this season, and it is very, very tight, there is a point in it, but we've got an awful lot of games to play, 22 by my count in a 38 league, 38 game season. So yeah, now the reason why I've started at this point is number one, I've decided to start a YouTube channel, but also if we go to the inbox, I have had, and this is an advanced negotiation now, I've been approached by Kashima Antlers. Now, Kashima Antlers if I go into they are fairly storied. They're a storied team in the J1 League. I must confess I don't know an awful lot about Japanese football, in spite of knowing a fair amount about Japanese history and being a fan of elements of Japanese culture around video games, being a Nintendo fanboy, and also a Sony fanboy as well. So, but I don't know a lot about football apart from that Gary Lineker took a fairly he was one of the first foreign players to go into the J League when they started paying people enough money, and the standard of football was a bit of a step down. And being a Tottenham fan, um, that was something that I was aware of growing up. Now, they have won the J1 League 9 times. They've got some success in the Japanese Cups, and they've won the Asian Champions League also, which is altogether very, very nice. Although they did win the Asian Champions League in 2018. The last time that they won the J1 League was in 2023. So that would have been the first season of this save, and they were runners up in 2025. But thereafter, they seem to have been on a bit of a slide, and they are currently 12th in J1 League. And I haven't really looked at, and they're not too far above us, but I haven't really looked too closely at their squad, I must confess. Um, and I don't really know what I'm dealing with here. They've got high transfer values on Masahiro Fukuda, who is, yeah, he's pretty good. He's got a fair amount of pace, really good anticipation and composure. So I imagine that left to his own devices, he would bang in a lot of goals. And he's 18 years old. That is absolutely ridiculous. Can't see that anyone's interested in him, but certainly they wouldn't be in Japan because he is pretty much unaffordable, I would say. So I think that without really kind of knowing a great deal, I would imagine that there is a fair amount of potential within this team and that they would be underperforming. It would be safe to say. It appears that they're still they are no, they are out of the Asian Champions League. They were taken out by G Osaka. That was fairly recently. That was in March, and it's now May. So it looks like the only thing that they've got to play for is the All Japan Cup second round. So J1 would be a case of just damage limitation and see how far you can get in the All Japan Cup. So, but in terms of what do they have? Well, if we look at the facilities, they have a 40/41,000 all-seater stadium, although bizarrely, they are looking to move to a slightly bigger stadium with a slightly bigger attendance. I'll see if I can find that screen. In the not too distant future, they've got good corporate facilities, superb training facilities, excellent youth facilities. So all in all, very nicely set up. They get stadium sponsorship deal, which brings them in a fair amount of money, and that seems to be income that could be expected consistently for the foreseeable future. This is it. Here we go. So in 2028, so January 2028, so next year, they're moving into a slightly bigger stadium. And I assume that that is to that stadium will have the ability to be expanded upon, because I just do not see why else you would do that, quite frankly. Um, they've got a reserve stadium, a youth stadium, and they've got their training grounds, good academy coaching, and excellent youth recruitment. So what I would like to do is just do a bit of a like for like here. So good, as you would expect for a major team in the Japanese league system, they have a decent infrastructure. If we go to our facilities, we are way more humble. And this is where the dilemma comes, because I really do like a fixer-upper on Football Manager. I really, really do. But full disclosure, I like a fixer-upper until the point where I feel like I can't really take it any further. um, so we are at the Mitsuzawa Stadium, 15,500 all-seater. It is owned by the council, whereas Kashima Antlers is owned by the club. And we are just the picture of adequacy, aren't we, in terms of facilities, and the junior coaching is bang average, and we've got basic youth recruitment. However, we do have some promising club trained players. So we've got Kawanishi, goalkeeper, who has a fair amount of upside, although at the moment he is just a decent J3 league player. Now you're probably wondering why I'm playing him at the moment. Well, I'm blooding him. I'm trying to give him a fair share of games to help his development, and I haven't been able to find a loan for him. Also, we have David Harrington, who's an Irish goalkeeper, 26, but he is on a leave of absence because he is struggling to adapt to Japan, which, fair enough, not everyone's going to be able to do that, but he is altogether a decent keeper, although he's good at the league below, with the potential to be good for this league. So whether or not he stays, and we also, at the same time, when I bought Harrington, I also brought in Sam Hornby, who's an older goalkeeper, 32, who hasn't really played for us, and I'm trying to look for a way to sell him off, having got him on a free, because I really don't want to block Kawanishi's development. So we've also got Yamada, who's a good player with a lot of potential, and there are some other players lying around here, I'm sure. Funatsu, who is okay, and yeah, I think that is essentially it. We do have a striker lying around somewhere who I cannot find at the moment, who is also a club trained, yes, Oseki, who again has a high amount of upside, and is a decent J3 league player. So what I'm doing at the moment essentially is I'm having to, because of squad rotation, tiredness, injury, I'm having to blood some young players who are really not ready to play at this level. So if I go back to the inbox, what is the offer on the table? Well, for a start, I am currently on £1,200 a week. My contract expires at the end of this season. Although I imagine, depending on how this season goes, they will be happy to offer me a new contract. I will be offered triple, slightly over triple what I'm currently getting paid. So in a Lelujo-esque real-world scenario, there would be no question about me taking this job, because from a personal financial perspective, to earn triple your weekly wage would be an absolute dream come true. Their transfer budget far outstrips mine. I started off this season with just under £1 million transfer budget. I still have just under 600,000 to play with, and my wage budget is 71,000 per week, and they are going to give me 300,000 per week, which tells me, I don't know how much of that is currently being spent, that wage budget, but that tells me that there might actually be some wiggle room potentially to move some of that wage budget into transfer budget. Um, as I said, we've got fairly far through these negotiations, and this is the reason why I stopped, because I really wanted to sit and think about it, and then life took over, and I never got back to it. So this video is much about me talking through my thinking, and I think that that's something that can be expected in my videos going forward, is me doing an awful lot of talking through situations, and then ultimately making progress through games and seasons, etc., etc. But I do like it when people stop and talk a bit more in depth about what it is that they're doing, because people, whether they agree or they learn something, or they don't agree and they don't learn anything, then at least it gets people thinking about what they would do in a particular situation. So I think they liked me because I sign a lot of players under the age of 23 for the first team. I can generally work within a wage budget. This is all fine. Maintain the club's status as the most reputable team in Japan. Okay. Well, you need to have on-field success for that, and to be winning trophies. Grow the club's reputation. Okay, fine. To the extent that that's possible, I guess. Maximum 1-year contracts for players over the age of 33. Well, that's generally not a problem for me. I don't tend to keep players at that age, and I say that as a man in his early 40s. Maximum 2-year contracts for players over the age of 31. Okay, that's absolutely fine. And minimum 2-year contracts for first team players. All absolutely fine. The 5-year plan. So at the end of this current season, they wanted to reach the latter stages of the Champions League. I don't see how that's possible, because they've been dumped out of that, but okay. Finish mid-table in the J1 League and challenge for the All Japan Cup. Okay, well, the league is certainly possible. I'm not sure about the cup. It really depends on the quality of the squad and to what extent we're underperforming, and whether or not I can find a system that would work with the players that we've currently got. Work towards developing the best youth system in the country. I always find this interesting because it's I don't know to what extent I can really control that beyond requesting the infrastructure for the youth system at the club to be improved, or whether it means actually scouting and finding and buying or otherwise bringing in really good quality players. I don't know whether it's either or one or the other or both. I have literally no idea. I don't know enough about that. If anyone actually watches this video, perhaps you could let me know in the comments. So one thing you'll know about me is that I'm horribly self-deprecating. I do like to talk down about myself. So, and then going forwards, the following season they want to win the J1 League. Okay, well that's probably a hiding to nothing, and this is the thing that worries me, because I just do not see enough room in this transfer budget, and necessarily in the team to basically be able to pull that together. And I'll tell you for why very shortly, on the basis of having recently played Kashima Antlers as YSCC Yokohama, and then challenge for the Champions League, continue to win the J1 League. I mean, it all sounds absolutely fine. And we're advanced to the point where I've actually chosen my staff that I'd want to come with me. But as I said, I have just stopped playing the game because I felt like it was a fairly massive decision to make. So if I go to schedule, yes, here we go. So we played against Kashima Antlers away and we lost 3-2. So if we look at this game. So literally, that was the last game that I played, which is there's a fair amount of irony in that. Um, I mean, essentially, we were never really in the hunting. Kind of as of half time. They went in having scored to make it 2-1 in injury time, and then 5 minutes into the second half, they made it 3-1, and then we replied fairly quickly, but we just could not get anywhere. And as you can see with the XG, they outperformed us there, which is kind of fair enough. So I'm not going to argue about the results. We did have more possession. We just ultimately couldn't do enough with it, and they made their chances count, and they had more opportunities, quite frankly. So, but I don't think it was from memory. I don't think the game was so bad that I thought, well, there's a clear gulf in quality, and this is what makes me stop to think, because I really don't mind a challenge, and I do not mind um, going to a new club and looking to make an improvement. And I do think that there's a certain amount of wiggle room, that if I went to Kashima, that I would have the rest of the season just to begin to find my way, get the squad used to playing the style of football that I want to play, and then looking at where the squad would need to be strengthened. And plus, there is also a second transfer window, or there's a transfer window in July, which might provide an opportunity for me to buy some players in just to improve the league position, and if we're still in the cup, make a push for the All Japan Cup. So there's plenty of upside. So I'm not really feeling the pressure for this season. As I said, it really, really is this expectation that by the end of next season they want to win the J1 League, and that's an exciting challenge. It would certainly be a challenge, but what makes me pause for thought is, if I look at this squad, if I look at the potential, I think, gosh, I've spent a number of seasons acquiring a squad with an awful lot of potential, who, if I can keep them at the club, are going to be really, really good in 2 to 3 years' time. I think that's when they're really going to come into their own. So all I need to do is stay in J1, maybe look to bring in some players to improve the situation, just in terms of current ability, um, and keep the pathway clear for these lads who are, by the time they get to 22, possibly 23, are going to be absolute class. I genuinely think that, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players who have got, at the very least, 3.5 star potential. And then actually, if we go down here, there are some who are absolutely bang on for 4 stars potential, some of which are currently at that point right now. So it's pretty much guaranteed that that's where they're gonna hit, provided that you give them the playing time that they need to do that. And what is good about this, I mean, I've got an awful lot of midfielders. I've got an awful lot of central midfielders at this club. I don't know why I keep buying central midfielders, but there's a goalkeeper. We've got defenders. The only thing I think we're really light on is a striker, just depths in terms of strikers. We've got Odokonero, who is very good. He's 24. I got him from the English league from memory. He's Ugandan. Yeah, I bought him from Ebbsfleet for 22,000. Uh, and look at that, he's wanted. So he might hang around, he might not. I don't know. But what I am looking to do is I'm looking to bring in this guy on a loan from Kobe. So he's an advanced forward. I like when I play one striker up front, I like an advanced forward or someone who's got the potential to play as a pressing forward. So he has the acceleration. The pace isn't great, admittedly. His finishing's good. His composure's fairly decent. Um, Good decision maker for this level. Fairly poor passer, but and he's short. He's shorter than I would like for a centre forward, but I think that he is someone that could come in and support Nathan Odoconiero in terms of as a striker. I do have other strikers. Oh, dear. I do have other strikers lying around. Suzuki is another one who may come good, but I'm not entirely sure about him, to be honest. Just in terms of where he's at right now, yeah, he's not even at professional league standard. Um, I always struggle to find Ozaki. There he is. So he's also got a lot of upside as well, potentially. Very good acceleration, not great top speed. Slightly taller, reasonably good decision maker. Finishing's not that great. Composure's fairly good. Decent off the ball, and technique's fairly poor. So yeah, again, yeah. So I think in terms of where the squad needs to go, I just need to sort out the top ends. Sort out up top, because if I go into, let's see how we are doing in terms of scoring. So yeah, we're we could do better. We're not doing terribly. There are worse scoring teams than us. Our problem is that we concede quite a lot. So I think ultimately, um, to summarize this, it's a really good offer. If I was doing a Lelujo-esque non-league to legend type of save, it just wouldn't even be. There wouldn't be a discussion about whether to stay or go. You would just go for that wage. It's a bigger club. Thinking about a long-term save, playing at that sort of club, getting the exposure of um, being in the Asian Champions League, potentially winning J1, then that would get you a move to another league in Europe, which is ultimately where I do want to go. I do want to go to Europe, and there are a number of different leagues which would interest me, just in terms of building a reputation. Um, because at the moment, I have a I have a nominal reputation, which I can't remember ever encountering before, and nominal probably just haven't noticed. Um, but I would like to. There are other things that I'd like to do. I don't want to stay in the Japanese league, and the reason why I came to the Japanese league in the first place, because this was the first year that Football Manager have offered the Japanese league, but also as a Tottenham fan, when I started the save back in, gosh, it would have been 2023. That's how long the save has been going on for. Um, I've had some time away from the save. Ange Postecoglou was doing really well at Tottenham, and they'd won, I think, 8 and drawn 2 or something like that, and so the vibes were really good. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna do a Postecoglou-esque sort of journey, um, you know, including Japan. possibly going to a lesser, kind of mid-tier league in Europe, and then kind of looking to crack one of the bigger leagues. So that's what I'm looking to do with this save. But and if I want to do that more expediently, I have to go to Kashima, I feel. However, as I said, I do really like to pull a club up by the bootstraps, and I do think that this team is going to come really, really good. And even if I have to sell off some of these high potential players when they start to come good, that's going to bring more money into the club. And then I'm just looking to I'll have a bit of a conveyor belt of young good talent coming through, developing that, and then selling on for a profit, and then I can look to improve these facilities. Because if I look at the finances at the moment, I mean, we're consistently out of the red, apart from one little dip that we had in 2025, beginning of 2026 from the looks. So there is money there, but I don't think we're going to be able to invest anything into the club infrastructure right now. So this is going to be very much a longer term save, but I do think that other job offers will come in the future, just because of how I've done things. So I think I've made a decision. I'm going to keep it going with Yokohama. So to end this video, I am going to walk away, and the talks have broken down, and there we go. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I look forward to the next video where I will update you on how my season's going and whether or not I am regretting this decision. Thanks for watching. Take care.